How does someone become a religious extremist, even to the extent of becoming a suicide bomber? Like most people, I assumed there are two obvious answers. 1. Poverty. 2. Ignorance. The poverty line goes like this. There appears to be no escape from it, hence creating resentment against those who have more. If your choice is to either die a beggar or a martyr, martyrdom would be the more appealing option. The ignorance part goes like this. The poor have little chance of getting a decent education and thus are susceptible to easy manipulation. Clever people prey on their prejudices and superstitions. Once the poor is in the hands of those with more, manipulation is easy. Since there is plenty of poverty and ignorance around the world, these have been the answers to becoming a religious extremist as explained by most sources. Then I began a journey to research on what really makes someone a religious extremist by reading different articles, journals, and watching video documentaries from trusted publishers. I found something different from what I expected. Poverty had very little to do with who became an extremist. Lack of education, even less. Many of those who are ready to die and murder for their cause are from the middle class, and many have a university education. These are not poor people. These are people who are well read and well fed. So, if poverty and ignorance don't drive people to violent religious extremism, what does? Is it desire for meaning and order? Our country is submerged in lots of chaos and corruption. Extremists promise clear-cut solutions to every problem. Here's how things will change if you follow these rules, and only these rules. Another is desire for change. The old corrupt order, the narrative goes, must be overthrown, and that can only happen through violent actions. Again, they promise to create a new form of government and throw in a hefty sense of victimhood. We are not responsible for the chaotic state of our country. Others have brought us down. And this is the toxic narrative that many will willingly buy. These are, of course, the same easy answers that tyrants and demagogues from Hitler, Mussolini, Osama bin Laden had always offered their followers. I saw this play out one day when local TV station aired a story about a young promising law graduate from one of the top universities in Kenya participated in the Garissa University terror attack. The incident saw 148 people lose their lives and left 79 injured. This came as a shock because his colleague at the university described him as a brilliant, chilled person who had a good upbringing. He was the son of a chief. What do you do about this extremism? The first step is to get off this false narrative that this is a poverty or education issue and take on narratives of extremist groups. They promise a better way, but what do they deliver? The answer is always more death, more poverty, and more suffering. In other words, young people need to see these extremist groups for what they really are, and only then will recruiting numbers go down. Teachers and parents should not assume that simply because they reject religious extremism, their children and students will also. They need to be vigilant in instilling pluralist and moderate values in their children. Politicians have to stop blaming the country's problems on the West and should confront endemic corruption that destroys countries like ours from within. The media has to stop treating extremists as freedom fighters, which is a common narrative in many parts of the world. Religious figures have to stop looking the other way, or worse, glorifying the so-called martyrs who murder innocent people. Religious leaders must promise these so-called martyrs eternal damnation. The people of Kenya have real grievances, but extremism only makes things worse, always and everywhere. It is not poverty and misery that creates religious extremism. It is religious extremism that creates poverty, misery, and death.